I wake in the middle of the night, my throat parched and scratchy. The digital clock on the nightstand glows 1:17 a.m. in angry red numbers. I'm back in my childhood bedroom, the walls still painted the soft yellow from my teenage years, sleeping in the same twin bed that now feels too small for my adult frame. Mom's birthday celebration had gone exactly as expected. Expensive restaurant, forced smiles, and Camden being Camden. Just another perfect family gathering in Oak Ridge, at least on the surface. I swing my legs over the side of the bed, wincing as the floorboard creaks beneath my feet. Even after all these years, I remember which spots to avoid. Some childhood lessons stick with you forever. The hallway is dark except for the strip of golden light spilling from beneath Dad's study door. Strange. Dad never stays up this late, especially after 3 glasses of his favorite bourbon at dinner. I pause, hearing hushed voices. Dad's deep baritone, then Camden's higher, more desperate tone. Don't worry, your sister will cover it all. My father's words stop me cold, one foot hovering above the next step. But what if she asks questions about the $65,000 loan? Camden sounds panicky, his voice cracking like it used to when he'd get caught stealing cookies before dinner. I freeze, my heart suddenly pounding so hard I worry they might hear it through the door. $65,000? My hand grips the banister, knuckles turning white. Charity trusts us, Dad says, his voice taking on that smooth, confident tone he uses when closing deals at the car dealership. She won't question it if we tell her it's for a family investment opportunity. I lean closer, barely breathing. Look, Camden, it's simple. She takes out the loan in her name, we promise her 12% returns, and by the time she realizes anything, we'll have figured something out. Camden sighs. But the crypto margin calls are $23,000, and the sports betting is another $19,000, plus the credit cards, $20,500. Dad finishes for him. I know the numbers, son. That's what family is for. Your sister has excellent credit. She can handle this temporary setback. Temporary setback. My stomach lurches so violently I have to press my hand against my mouth. $62,500. More than my annual take-home pay after taxes. But what if... Enough! Dad's voice turns sharp. Your sister will do this. She always does what's right for this family. I back away from the door, careful to avoid the creaky spots, though my legs feel like they might give out. The cool water I'd come downstairs for is forgotten as I retreat to my bedroom, close the door silently behind me, and sink onto the edge of the bed. My mind races back to dinner at Marcelino's earlier tonight, the town's most expensive restaurant. Mom had insisted on celebrating her 56th birthday, somewhere special. Dad ordered the $120 bottle of wine, while Camden regaled us with his latest business venture, something about blockchain technology and passive income streams. Camden has such an entrepreneurial spirit, Mom had gushed, squeezing his arm. 5 years in college and he's still finding his way, but when he hits, he'll hit big. I'd smiled and nodded, just like always. Then when the bill came, $287 plus tip, I'd reached for it automatically. Camden had patted his pockets theatrically. Man, I'm so broke right now, but I've got you covered next time, sis. Next time. There had been so many next times over the years. Suddenly, the pattern comes into sharp focus. The family emergency last year that required $3,000. The time Camden's car broke down and needed $2,200 in repairs. Dad's temporary cash flow issue at the dealership that had me transferring $5,000 from my savings. I'd been their personal ATM for years, and now they wanted the ultimate withdrawal. My hands shake as I lock my bedroom door. I grab my laptop from my overnight bag and power it up, immediately checking my credit report. Relief floods through me, nothing unusual yet. They haven't made their move. I call Chloe, not caring about the time. Char? Her voice is thick with sleep. It's almost 2 in the morning. What's wrong? They want to steal my identity, I whisper, afraid they might hear me through the walls. My own family is planning to use me for a loan they have no intention of repaying. What? Who? Your parents? Dad and Camden. I just overheard them. They need $65,000 to cover Camden's debts. Chloe's voice sharpens, sleep falling away. Those manipulative bastards. What are you going to do? I stare at the ceiling, watching the shadows dance across the glow and the dark stars I stuck there when I was 12. They've faded now, barely visible even in the darkness. I won't let them turn me into their ATM, I say. the words giving me strength as they leave my mouth. Not anymore. I open a new document on my laptop and title it Financial Self-Defense. As the first gray light of dawn filters through my curtains, I create a checklist of everything I need to do to protect myself. First item, pretend I heard nothing until I can get back to Chicago. Second item, freeze my credit at all 3 bureaus immediately. Third item, change all my passwords. The list grows longer as the sky brightens outside my window. By the time I hear movement in the hallway, Mom getting up to make her signature birthday weekend pancakes, I have a plan. They raised me to be responsible, reliable Charity. The one who always does the right thing, who never rocks the boat. But they never expected me to use those same traits against them. What would you do if you caught your family plotting to use you as their personal ATM? For me, the answer is clear. I'm shutting down this bank permanently. Morning sunlight filters through the curtains as I force myself downstairs for breakfast, my stomach in knots. Dad sits at the head of the table, scanning the business section while Mom flips pancakes. Camden hasn't surfaced yet, probably sleeping off last night's bourbon. Morning, honey. Mom slides a plate of pancakes in front of me. Sleep well? I manage a smile that feels like plastic stretching across my face. Fine, thanks. Every nerve in my body screams to confront them, but I remember item 1 on my checklist. Pretend I heard nothing until I can get back to Chicago. Dad looks up from his paper. Your brother might need some help with his new venture. Something about blockchain technology. Sounds promising. The casual way he says it, like he wasn't plotting financial sabotage hours ago, makes my coffee taste like battery acid. Interesting. I mutter, focusing on cutting my pancake into perfect squares. Mom refills Dad's coffee. He just needs a little startup capital. You know how these things work. I bet she does. I need to print some work documents before heading back, I say, changing the subject. Mind if I use your printer? Dad waves his hand. Help yourself. In his home office, I sit at his desk, the room where last night's betrayal was orchestrated. The printer tray holds several pages. Camden's credit card statements. My brother, always careless. My hands shake as I flip through them. Charges from Gucci, Nordstrom, MGM Grand Las Vegas. A $1,400 gaming system. Weekend trips I knew nothing about. All while claiming he couldn't afford dinner last night. The statement's due date is circled in red pen, with Dad's handwriting in the margin. Char's visit, discuss investment. I was the investment. I slide the statements back exactly as I found them and return to my room. Pulling out my laptop, I log into my bank account. The truth hits like a physical blow. I've been paying the family's electricity, internet, and streaming services since I started my career. Automatic payments I set up temporarily 4 years ago when Dad mentioned cash flow issues at the dealership. 4 years. Thousands of dollars. I grab my phone and call Cousin Jane. Camden in Vegas again? She answers without preamble. My stomach drops. What do you mean again? A pause. You didn't know? He goes every other weekend. Posts about it on his private Instagram. The one your parents follow but you don't. Private Instagram, I repeat, my voice hollow. Uncle Victor covers most of it, I think. You know how he's always been with Camden. Golden boy can do no wrong. Golden boy. The memories flood back. Camden at 16, crashing the family car. Dad laughing it off. Boys will be boys. Me at 16, coming home 10 minutes past curfew. Grounded for 2 weeks. Charity? Jane's voice pulls me back. You okay? Just thinking about patterns, I say quietly. After we hang up, I text Chloe the latest developments. Her response is immediate. I've been saying this for years. Remember when Uncle Raymond warned you at Christmas? I do remember. Uncle Raymond cornering me in the kitchen. They're taking advantage of your success, Charity. Victor's always favored Camden, just like his father favored him. Sighed. I'd dismissed it as family drama. Now I recognize it as prophecy. My phone rings. Chloe again. I've been researching, she says without greeting. You need to freeze your credit immediately. TransUnion, Experian, Equifax. I'm sending links. Already on it, I tell her, toggling between browser tabs. I'm filing fraud alerts too. Good, because if they tank your credit, your whole life implodes. She's right. My Logan Square condo, purchased last year for $355,000 with a down payment that drained my savings. My emergency fund, meticulously rebuilt to cover 8 months of expenses. My credit score of 812, achieved through years of careful financial management. All of it balanced on a knife edge. Camden crashed another car, I say, the realization hitting me. Mom mentioned it at dinner, but I didn't think about it. They bought him a used car, $13,800. I remember because Mom called it a bargain. While you drove that ancient Honda through college, Chloe replies, and worked 3 jobs. The anger rises in my throat. Remember when he mocked my boring bank job? Said I was wasting my life while he was pursuing passive income streams? Which you're now actively funding. I pace the small bedroom, memories sharpening into clarity. Camden's disdain for my financial discipline, Dad's manipulation, praising my responsibility while exploiting it. The constant refrain, family helps family. But family shouldn't drain you dry. Mom knocks softly before entering with fresh towels. Everything okay, sweetie? You seem upset. I plaster on another fake smile. Just work stress, nothing to worry about. She pats my hand. You work too hard. Not like your brother, he knows how to enjoy life. The irony is so bitter I nearly choke on it. After she leaves, I stare at my financial documents, at the years of sacrifice now threatened by the people who should protect me. My emergency fund, built by bringing lunch from home when coworkers ordered takeout. My condo, secured by declining vacations and new clothes. My credit score, maintained by paying every bill on time, even when it meant eating ramen for a week. All of it at risk because my family sees my success not as an achievement to celebrate, but as a resource to exploit. I close my laptop, a new resolve hardening within me. The question echoes in my mind as I pack my bag to return to Chicago. At what point does helping family become enabling destruction? For me, that point was last night at 1:17 a.m., when I heard my father whisper, "Don't worry, your sister will cover it all." 2 days later, I sat cross-legged on my apartment bed in Chicago, sorting through a shoebox of old photos while my laptop boots up. Each snapshot reveals a story my younger self couldn't fully comprehend. In my favorite picture, 15-year-old me beams with pride, clutching a spelling bee trophy. Behind my smile lies exhaustion from staying up until 2 a.m. studying, while Camden's video game soundtrack thumped through our shared wall. Mom had framed this photo but kept it on the bookshelf in the spare room, not displayed with Camden's participation ribbons that dominated the living room mantel. "Second place is impressive, honey," Dad had said when I showed him the trophy. "Maybe next year you can win it all." I flipped to another photo, Camden standing beside his NBA-themed bedroom makeover, complete with a 55-inch television and custom Lakers bedspread. The same month, Mom had helped me arrange secondhand furniture in my room, explaining that girls don't need fancy things, and Camden needs proper motivation to succeed. The memory burns fresh as yesterday. I tuck the photos away, pulling up my credit monitoring service instead. The freeze requests for all 3 bureaus confirm with reassuring pings in my email. First step complete. I remember washing dishes after my 16th birthday dinner while Camden played video games. Just 15 more minutes. Mom always told me when I complained about the division of chores, "Your brother needs time to relax." My timer chimes. 7 minutes until my scheduled video call with my parents. I've practiced what I'll say a dozen times, but my heart still hammers against my ribs. The Washington, D.C. field trip changed everything for me. While other students simply asked their parents for the $480 fee, I spent 3 months juggling shifts at the grocery store, babysitting for the Hendersons, and mowing lawns in summer heat. When I proudly handed the money to my history teacher, he looked surprised. "Most parents just write a check," he said. I smile at the memory now. That trip showed me I could make my own way. College applications arrived senior year, and my parents sat me down for the talk. "We've been saving for Camden's IT degree," Dad explained, not quite meeting my eyes. "You've always been the responsible one. We know you'll figure something out." And I did. 40% academic scholarship, 20+ hours weekly at the library and campus cafe, instant ramen for dinner, more times than I care to remember. While Camden partied through his freshman year at State, I calculated my loan payments to the penny. The Chicago internship came from pure determination, 37 applications, 15 rejections, 9 ignored, and finally, Midwest Financial Partners saying yes. I slept on an air mattress in a studio apartment with 2 other interns that summer, saving every possible dollar. By 27, I'd eliminated my student loans while building an 8-month emergency fund. Every sacrifice had purpose. Every denied dinner invitation meant freedom from the financial insecurity I'd witnessed at home. Now, that freedom stands threatened by the very people who should celebrate it. The laptop screen shows my comprehensive financial self-defense checklist. Credit freeze at all 3 bureaus. Fraud alert placement. New credit cards ordered. Mailing to Chicago address. Parents removed from all emergency contacts. Passwords changed across all accounts. 2-factor authentication enabled everywhere possible. All automatic family bill payments flagged for cancellation. Would most people confront their family immediately after discovering such betrayal, or secure their finances first? I chose security. The quiet strength of preparation feels powerful beneath my trembling hands. The video call rings. I take a deep breath and click accept. Dad's face appears first, confident smile firmly in place. Mom joins, patting her freshly styled hair. Camden slouches into view last, barely visible at the edge of the frame. "There's our girl," Dad says. "We were just talking about you." "I'm sure you were." My voice comes out steadier than I expected. "I heard everything 2 nights ago." Dad's smile falters. "What do you mean, sweetie?" "Your conversation with Camden in your study. About using my credit for a loan." I keep my tone clinical, detached. "About $65,000. The specific figure lands like a slap. Dad's expression shifts from confusion to shock to calculation in seconds. "You misunderstood." He attempts, but his voice lacks conviction. "We were discussing a family investment opportunity, something that would benefit everyone." "Stop lying." The words slice through his excuse. "I heard everything. The crypto margin calls for $23,000. The sports betting for $19,000. The credit card debt of $20,500. Mom's eyes fill with tears. "Charity. Family helps family. You know that. We raised you to understand responsibility." "Yes, you did." I meet her gaze directly. "That's why I'm being responsible with my finances and my boundaries. There will be no co-signing, no loans, no transfers." Camden finally looks up, face flushing. "You've always been selfish. All that money in Chicago while your family struggles. What kind of person does that make you?" "The kind who works for what she has." My voice rises despite my efforts to stay calm. "The kind who's tired of being your personal ATM." "Now listen here," Dad starts, leaning toward the camera. The authoritative tone that once sent me scurrying to please him now sounds hollow. "No, you listen. Any attempt to use my identity will result in a police report. I've frozen my credit at all bureaus. I'm canceling all utility payments effective immediately." I hold up my phone showing the confirmation emails. "You have 2 weeks to arrange new payment methods for electricity, internet, and streaming services." Mom gasps. "You wouldn't leave us without electricity." 2 weeks is generous. The words taste bitter but necessary, and far more consideration than you showed me when planning to steal my identity. "We weren't stealing," Camden snarls. "We were borrowing. There's a difference." "Not when you have no intention of repaying." I lean closer to the camera. "I found your statements in the printer yesterday morning. Designer clothes and Vegas weekends while I pay your electricity. It stops today." Dad's mask slips completely, face contorting. "After everything we've done for you, the sacrifices we made." "What sacrifices exactly?" Heat rises in my chest. My secondhand furniture while Camden got a full bedroom makeover? My 3 jobs for the Washington trip while you handed him spending money? Or maybe you mean telling me you couldn't help with college because you were saving for Camden's degree? Mom covers her face, shoulders shaking. Camden storms out of frame. Only Dad remains, staring at me like I've transformed into someone unrecognizable. "We're your family," he says finally, voice lower. "You don't turn your back on family." I'm not turning my back, I'm standing my ground. The distinction feels important. You raised me to be responsible. I'm simply being responsible with my boundaries. The call ends with Dad's finger stabbing at the disconnect button. My phone immediately begins vibrating with incoming texts from Camden, each one increasingly desperate, then angry. I silence the notifications and close my laptop. The quiet of my bedroom feels different now, no longer suffocating, but transitional. A space between who I was and who I'm becoming. Have you ever had to create hard boundaries with family? Chicago awaits me, and this time I am choosing myself. The path to independence stretches before me, hard won and finally clear. 3 days later, My phone vibrates for the 20th time today. Camden's name flashes on the screen again, his latest text more desperate than the last. You're killing me, Shar. I'm going to lose everything. I slide the phone face down on my kitchen counter, watching Chicago's skyline through my condo windows. 3 days since the confrontation, and the fallout has been exactly what I expected and feared. The first wave came as pleading, just this once texts, and family emergency calls. When those failed, Camden's messages darkened. You always thought you were better than us, and, after everything we've done for you. Last night he called at 2:18 a.m., slurring his words. You know what? You've always been a selfish bye. I hung up before he finished. The phone rang twice more before I muted it completely. This morning, Chloe called from her desk 3 rows away from mine. Your brother just called me, she said, voice tight with anger. He told me you've been demanding money from your parents for years, and now they're about to lose their house because of you. My stomach dropped as heat rushed to my face. He called you at work? On my personal cell. Her voice lowered. How did he even get my number? I closed my eyes, remembering Mom's insistence on updating her contact list during the last Christmas dinner. My mother. The harassment escalates with military precision. Dad calls my division manager to discuss my concerning mental health issues. My mother posts vague Facebook updates about ungrateful children that trigger a cascade of supportive comments from hometown friends who don't know the whole story. Then Aunt Martha arrives. The text from Jane arrives as warning. Martha's been summoned to Chicago. Victor bought her ticket. Aunt Martha, Dad's older sister, calls from O'Hare. Your father says you're having a breakdown. I'm coming to talk some sense into you. I'm not home, I lie, watching a pigeon land on my balcony railing. I'm actually leaving for a business trip. Charity Elizabeth Carter, I changed your diapers. Don't you lie to me. The professional in me, the one who analyzes risk for a living, knows exactly what's happening. Every action targets my reputation, my stability, my resolve. They're executing a hostile takeover of my sanity, so I respond with a strategy of my own. First, documentation. Every text, every voicemail, every social media post saved and time-stamped. The recording of Dad and Camden's late-night planning session safely uploaded to the cloud. Second, boundaries. Email filters direct family messages to a separate folder I check only once daily, at 5 p.m., with Chloe beside me for moral support. Phone calls go straight to voicemail. Third, reinforcements. I meet with Marissa, the financial advisor who helped me buy my condo. They can't touch your assets without your signature, she assures me, reviewing my accounts. But I'd recommend closing any joint accounts immediately. There aren't any, I tell her. I made sure of that years ago. She raises an eyebrow, impressed. Smart woman. The therapist comes next. Doctor. Walsh specializes in family financial abuse, a term I'd never heard before but describes my situation with uncomfortable accuracy. What you're experiencing is surprisingly common, she says, her office walls lined with degrees and certifications. Financial exploitation often comes from those closest to us. The hardest part is the community reaction, I admit. My hometown thinks I'm the villain. Back home, my phone pings with updates from Jane, my one remaining family ally in Oak Ridge. Everyone's talking, she writes. Camden's telling people you're hoarding family money. The town where I grew up, where I babysat for neighbors and delivered newspapers, now buzzes with stories about heartless charity, too rich and selfish to help her struggling family. But not everyone believes it. Uncle Raymond, Dad's younger brother, calls unexpectedly. Victor has always played favorites, he says, his voice gravelly from decades of smoking. I told him years ago it would backfire. You hold your ground, Charity. The first signs of victory emerge in week 2. Jane reports Camden taking a morning shift at the gas station and evening hours at the pizza place. Dad and Mom suddenly cancel their anniversary cruise, citing unexpected expenses. The gossip shifts as Camden's spending habits become impossible to hide. My phone lights up with a text from an unknown number. It's Becky Miller, Camden's high school girlfriend. I believe you. Her message reads, he tried the same thing with me last year, almost tanked my credit score before I caught on. Each boundary I maintain strengthens the next. Each day without contact builds my resolve. The pressure remains relentless. The calls, the rumors, the guilt, but something has shifted within me. I stand at my window, watching the sunset paint Chicago's buildings in orange and gold. Dr. Walsh's words echo in my mind. Sometimes standing your ground feels lonely before it feels right. For the first time in weeks, I breathe deeply without my chest tightening. The guilt hasn't disappeared, but it's quieter now, easier to recognize as the manufactured emotion it always was. My family crafted me to be their safety net, their bailout plan, their personal ATM. But what they never understood was that the same responsibility they instilled in me would eventually become the very thing they couldn't overcome. I pick up my phone and block Camden's newest number. Tonight, I'll sleep without waiting for the midnight call. Tomorrow, I'll go to work without scanning for family ambushes. This battle isn't over, but for the first time, I'm winning. The pastor's voice oozes sympathy through my phone speaker. Charity, we're all worried about your spiritual welfare. Family is God's greatest gift. I close my eyes, counting silently to 10 while sitting at my kitchen counter. 1 month since I confronted them. 4 weeks of escalating desperation from my family. Pastor Williams, I say, keeping my voice steady, did my father mention the identity theft they were planning? Or did he just tell you I abandoned them? The pause tells me everything. Well, Victor simply expressed concern about financial hardship. Interesting. I trace a circle on my countertop. Did he share that Camden lost $23,000 on cryptocurrency margin calls? Or $19,000 on sports betting? Who? Another long pause. I should probably speak with your father again. After hanging up, I add the call to my documentation spreadsheet, the 14th manipulation attempt since drawing my line in the sand. First came the daily texts and calls. Then the social media posts about ungrateful children. Now they're mobilizing the community. The doorman buzzes. Miss Carter, your brother's here insisting on seeing you. My stomach drops. I'm not expecting him. He says it's a family emergency. Seems pretty upset. Family emergency. Their favorite phrase when needing money. Please tell him I'm unavailable, Frank. And if he refuses to leave, call security. I'm still shaking when my phone pings with an email notification. From Dad's account, with the subject line, Legal Action for Family Support. The message contains a single PDF attachment, a poorly formatted letter threatening to sue me for filial responsibility and family support payments. No lawyer would draft something so amateurish. But the implied threat still makes my throat tighten. My phone buzzes again. Mom's number. Against better judgment, I listen to the voicemail. Charity, honey. Her voice breaks. They're shutting off our electricity tomorrow. It's freezing here. Your father says it's your fault because you canceled the automatic payments. A theatrical sob. We raised you better than this. I stand at my window overlooking Chicago, watching people 16 floors below hurrying through their lives. They have no idea how quiet betrayal can be, how it whispers from the people who should protect you most. My doorbell rings, the internal one. I check the peephole to see Camden, somehow having talked his way past Frank. I know you're in there, he shouts, pounding on the door. You can't hide forever. I press my back against the wall, heart racing. I've called security, Camden. You need to leave. After everything we've done for you, his words slur slightly. He's been drinking. One loan, that's all we needed. The elevator dings, followed by the steady footsteps of the building security guards. Their voices firm but professional as they escort my brother away. I slide down the wall until I'm sitting on my hardwood floor, hugging my knees like I used to as a child when hiding from Camden's tantrums. But I'm not a child anymore, and I'm done hiding. The next morning, I meet with Sarah, my attorney, in her downtown office. The leather portfolio in my lap contains everything: printed emails, text screenshots, voicemails transcribed, and the recording from that night, the smoking gun of their betrayal. They're escalating, Sarah says, reviewing the documents. Your brother showing up at your workplace yesterday crossed a line. I nod, remembering the humiliation of Camden screaming in our reception area before security removed him. My coworkers' sideways glances. The whispers. It's time for the cease and desist, I tell her, and I want to include the evidence. Sarah raises an eyebrow. All of it? That's nuclear. The recording especially. They've left me no choice. My voice doesn't waver. I've tried reasonable. I've tried distance. They're destroying what little reputation I have left in Oak Ridge. 2 days later, Sarah sends the package certified mail requiring signatures. A comprehensive cease and desist letter alongside a timeline documenting their financial manipulation. And a USB drive containing the recording of that night. The explosion comes faster than expected. Dad calls within hours. "How dare you?" He roars when I answer. "After all we've done for you, we gave you everything." "You gave Camden everything," I reply, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. "You taught me to work for what I wanted. Now I'm protecting what I earned. We're your family." Family doesn't plan identity theft over bourbon at 1 a.m. His breathing changes. "You don't understand." "I understand perfectly. You and Camden dug this hole. I'm not jumping in to save you." Mom calls next, her anger less controlled than Dad's. "Why should you have more than your brother?" she demands. "What makes you so special?" The question stuns me with its naked honesty. All these years, I thought they favored Camden because he needed more help. Now I understand the truth. They resent my success. I'm not special, Mom. I just worked harder and made different choices. Uncle Raymond calls the following day. "It's like a bomb went off," he says. "Victor showed up at church, looking like he'd seen a ghost. The recording, Charity. They needed to hear themselves. The whole family's talking. Cousin Jane played it at the potluck when Aunt Martha started defending Camden." He chuckles. "Martha hasn't been that quiet since her gallbladder surgery. Camden." 2 weeks pass. Reports filter in through the family grapevine. Camden's credit has officially collapsed, all cards closed, personal loan applications denied. Dad pulled money from his retirement account, triggering hefty penalties. The family home, paid off when I was in high school, now carries a mortgage again. Meanwhile, my credit score remains untouched. My savings intact, my boundaries firm as steel. The final email comes from Camden. No demands, no accusations. Just these words. "You were right. I'm sorry." I don't respond immediately. Some wounds need more than words to heal. Some lessons only financial consequences can teach. Standing in my apartment, surrounded by the life I built through discipline and sacrifice, I wonder, would they have ever learned if I hadn't forced them to face reality? Or would they have continued draining me dry while telling themselves they deserved every dollar? The answer, like the boundaries I've drawn, is perfectly clear. The Colorado mountains rise like a fortress around my Denver balcony, offering protection I never found within the walls of my parents' home. 8 months have passed since I left Illinois, and the distance feels like more than just miles. My real estate agent called yesterday with the final numbers. "Your Chicago condo sold for $383,400. After closing costs and your mortgage payoff, you're clearing $28,400 in profit. For $400 in profit. The money sits in my account now, untouched. Unlike previous windfalls that would have been earmarked for family emergencies before they even arrived, this belongs solely to me." My phone buzzes with a text from Valerie, a woman I met through my support group for adults with toxic family relationships. "Still on for hiking tomorrow? Weather looks perfect." I smile as I type back. "Absolutely. Need to break in my new boots." These are my people now, friends who understand boundaries, who give without keeping score, who celebrate my successes without demanding a cut. Tuesday evenings, I meet with Dr. Winters, a therapist who specializes in family financial trauma. "Do you still check your credit report daily?" she asked during our last session. "Weekly now," I admitted, feeling my shoulders relax. "Progress, right?" She nodded, her eyes crinkling. "Substantial progress. And the nightmares about identity theft? Gone, though I still keep all my financial documents in a fireproof safe. Some habits serve us well," she said. "The question is whether they're driven by fear or prudence." That distinction has become my touchstone. Am I saying no because I'm afraid, or because it's the right boundary to set? Am I saving because I fear catastrophe, or because I value security? Today marks another milestone, my first financial literacy workshop as a volunteer instructor. The community center bustles with activity as I arrange handouts on tables. 20 people filter in, most older than me, their faces etched with worry lines I recognize all too well. I'm not a financial advisor. I begin. I'm just someone who learned financial independence the hard way. For 90 minutes, I explain credit scores, emergency funds, and predatory lending. The participants nod, take notes, ask questions. But it's the young woman in the back row who stops me in my tracks. If my parents owe on a credit card, she asks, voice barely above a whisper, do I have to pay it back when they can't? The room falls silent. My throat tightens as I see my younger self in her downcast eyes. No, I answer firmly. Whoever's name is on the account is responsible. Your job is to protect yourself. Her shoulders drop an inch, relief washing over her face. I recognize that feeling, the weight lifting when you realize you aren't legally bound to someone else's financial chaos. After class, she approaches with a tentative smile. Thanks. My dad keeps saying it'll ruin the family if I don't help. I hand her my card. Family isn't supposed to compromise your future. Call me if you need to talk. 2 days later, an unexpected email arrives from Camden. No demands, no manipulation. Just 12 sentences that begin with, I'm sorry, and end with, I'm in therapy now and working 2 jobs to pay back what I owe. He mentions a debt repayment plan and alcohol counseling. No pressure for immediate contact, just an open door if I ever want to walk through it. I craft a careful response. Thank you, I need time. Boundaries stay. Our quarterly check-ins remain strictly financial updates, with no money changing hands. It's not forgiveness exactly, but it's something close to peace. The afternoon sun warms my face as I unfold a handwritten note delivered to the community center yesterday. The young woman from my workshop writes, I froze my credit and told my parents no. It was the hardest and best thing I've ever done. I trace her words with my fingertip, whispering the truth it took me 3 decades to learn. Protecting your wallet is the first step to protecting your heart. Looking out at the mountains, I finally understand I'm not just free from my family's financial exploitation. I'm free to become the person I was always meant to be.